So I'm here with Gigi Bermingham, who's a wonderful stage, film, television actress. And she's won a ton of awards, some from my organization, the Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle. She's appeared at the Pasadena Playhouse nearby in The Heiress with Richard Chamberlain. She was in a terrific award-winning show called Hermetically Sealed, very dynamic piece of work at the Skylight Theater, and lots of other work in LA and before that in New York. So we've been talking earlier about some of your background and how you came to be an actor and some of the early work that you did. And now I'm going to want to ask you a little bit more about the world that we're in theater and in film and television in Los Angeles, and some of the things about what it's really like to be working as an actor in all these different fields. We've talked about some of your training and some of the techniques that you used, have learned, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the process of acting, and we'll move away from the theater for a moment and talk about film and television, because I know that's something that you're auditioning for, that you work in, and is a very different vibe, I guess, than theater. So first of all, what are your thoughts about working in film and TV in general? I know it's a different animal, but
my thoughts are it's wonderful. I love it. It's exciting. It's on a social level, the difference between telling somebody you're in a play, even like good people at La Mirada, or telling them that you had 2 lines on ABC's Mistresses, is people are just, wow, you're on Mistresses, oh my God.
I know.
Or yeah, it's
well, you're entering into pop culture in a way that you're not within the theater, and millions of people see you. So it's different. You don't get to interact with them, but millions of people do see you.
Yes,
so,
and you have to respect that, and I do respect it, very much so. And television and film are difficult media in which to create something astonishingly great, and thousands of people are involved in making one little piece come to life. Are employed in making one little piece come to life. That's the beauty part of it, is they are employed. And in theater we're employed as well, but it's truly an art form where you're not remunerated in a way that you can live a comfortable life.
Well, let's drill down a little bit on the difficulty of acting for TV and film. I mean, because it's you don't get a lot of rehearsal time, probably. I mean, okay, you're just booked on an hour series as a guest star kind of role, and maybe you'll have a few minutes of airtime, but not a lot, and you don't have time to develop your character. So how do you approach that? Okay, you're booked now. And you
do it all. You do it all on your own. I mean, I do it before the audition usually. If it's a small role, if it's like one scene, whether it's a guest star or even a co-star, if it's one scene, generally I've done 95% of the work by the time I've auditioned. And so then if I book the job, I've done the work. Now I just get to show up and do the thing in front of the camera. So it's great. If it's a bigger part, then obviously you've done some of the preparation still for the audition. You really have done a lot of the preparation, because you've made some character choices that they obviously liked. There isn't time to, let me ask you, could you try it as if she blah, blah, blah? No.
It's like, stand there, here's your lights.
Well, there just isn't time. So that's why it's not so personal if you're not cast. They have to have a fully formed character in front of them when you audition in order that because they don't have time. There isn't time. There's a lot of money on the line. Every minute is so expensive. So when you book it, you know that what you did in the audition is what they want.
So you've given them a product that they want, and you need to deliver that product because you know that's what it. But how is it? Okay, you're on Boardwalk Empire, and you walk in, and now you're going to do a scene with Steve Buscemi, and it's like, "Hi, Steve. I'm Gigi. Hi, Gigi. Okay, how does that go?"
Hi, how are you doing? Good. Gigi, can we have you stand? First team. Gigi, come and stand over here. Great. Steve, I want you to enter here. Okay, can we rehearsal? Quiet on set, rehearsal. That was great. Okay, actors can be released. You go away, you come back and you shoot it. You go away, you can finish the makeup, put your costume, wardrobe on, you come back and you shoot it. I mean, I'm simplifying a little bit. And the higher the quality of the production, the more chance there is of having actual rehearsals. So I've just described kind of a worst case scenario. But it happens frequently, just like that.
And what's your prep for that? I mean, is there inside? is there much you can do, or you just need to be that you've got it nailed? And you know what I'm asking?
I think so. I think you rely on yourself as an actor and your imagination, and you have an anticipation of what the other actors will be doing and saying and how they'll be. I mean, you know what they'll be saying.
Right.
You create it. You create a scenario in your mind, and you memorize based on that scenario, and you have to be ready to adjust, which you will have to do when you come to the actual, day of.
Right. So you're not getting a lot from the other actor, though. I mean, in that short amount of time, you're not necessarily getting much.
Often, if there's no rehearsal, if there's only time to get to the set, have a quick rehearsal, go away, put your makeup on, come back and shoot, then no. They too are anticipating that you're going to behave in a certain way. The director may give some small instructions, some small adjustments. But it's pretty much you show up ready to go.
Let's back up then and compare that to theater, which is
it's just exactly the same.
That's right.
No.
Hi, how are you?
Go.
3 weeks rehearsal, go.
No, but here's the thing. The bigger contracts now, in my experience, are having shorter and shorter rehearsal times.
Is that right?
Good people that I just did at La Mirada, which I told you in the last time we talked, how much I love that producing organization, McCoy Rigby Entertainment. So respectful of their artists. They provide everything they can possibly provide, a really good contract.
Right.
But they're forced, because of the financial necessities, to provide only a very short rehearsal period. It's 2.5 weeks.
Ooh la la. Because I always think 6. I always think 6
weeks
I
think
is what
6
you
or
need.
8.
6 or 8.
I think 6 or 8. And at Antia's company, the classical theater company I belong to, we have usually 8 weeks of rehearsal.
Yeah.
And that is to create, that is ideal to create, or not necessarily, 6 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks is enough.
Right.
Is the ideal sometimes, to create something beautiful, to create something artistic.
Yeah.
In 2.5 weeks, that's why I was so proud of what we were able to do in 2.5 weeks, and that everybody seemed to appreciate so much what we did. But like I told you, the level of actors was so high, in my opinion, that in 2.5 weeks we were able to put it together. But so that's similar to television and filming, that the time is collapsing, and you have to show up memorized, just about memorized, and having made all your internal choices, which then you'll discuss with the director. No matter what, in a theater situation, you'll still discuss it with the director and the other actors, and you may make some changes.
You know, it's interesting because I think the British have always had a slightly different model, and they do it in television too.
Tell me.
Well, they do a lot of development work in series television in Britain, and there's a fair amount of improvisation going on and development and rehearsals, and it shows in the quality, because they're not really. I mean, we're breaking away from this, but they're not on that 26-week episode schedule that we are, which is just brutal on the writers, and it's tough on the directors. So they think about, we'll put this up when it's ready, kind of thing. Now Netflix is beginning to do that, so the model is changing. But I really think that's and you can see now how the quality is going up in television as a result of a different approach.
Yes, and I've not been a series regular, so I may be speaking out of turn. Those people may get a lot more rehearsal. I don't really know. I recently did a web series called The Britishes. DirecTV is, I think, the umbrella producer, and there's College Humor involved and Big Breakfast. These are the 3 names of producers involved in this web series called The Britishes, which is Downton Abbey meets Monty Python, and I played the Countess Dowager Maggie Smith role.
Nice.
I got age makeup and a white wig and all that. It was so much fun, and I'm mentioning it because there we had not a lot of time, but we did improv a lot of stuff. And because it was comedy, and the director Sam Reich allowed us to just experiment and come up with stuff on the spot. So we did get some rehearsal for that.
So when we're seeing this, we can Google the Britishers, and we'll be able to find
Britishes.
The Britishes.
The name of the family is British. Lord British, Countess British. So it's the Britishes.
That's
DirecTV. It should be airing pretty soon, I think. I don't know.
Terrific.
I hope. It'll be on the web, so you'll be able to find it eventually. I'm in another web series. Can I mention that?
Yeah, please do.
It's called Kittens in a Cage.
Oh my God.
Directed by Jillian Armenante. She's looking right now for a distributor. By the time this airs, she probably will have found one. It's an amazing web series that she put together as a single film to screen it for a few hundred people. I couldn't believe how funny it was. I'm very proud to be involved. It's raunchy. but it's hysterically
prison.
funny. Yes, it's women in prison.
Women
I play
behind bars.
Women behind bars. I play the matron with a hook for a hand.
Oh, okay.
It's dirty and funny.
That sounds
Why
fun.
did I want to mention that though?
Well, we'll look for that too. We can Google
look
it
for
and find
Kittens
out.
in a Cage. That will definitely be on the web. Kittens in a Cage. There's already a website, so.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit, because I know you've directed. I know that's recent.
Theater.
But you've directed theater. You directed at Antaeus, and you've directed Sierra Madre. Talk a little bit about that. Those are both, I know Antaeus is a company you're familiar with, and the actors. Sierra Madre is one that you were new to working with. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about the directing as an actor.
Well, I just approach it from an actor's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Which is what motivates the characters. And they're both period pieces. At NTS I did You Can't Take It With You. And so lucky to have that pool of actors to choose from.
Which is a wonderful Kaufman and Hart
That's right.
show. And there's a great biography of Moss Hart, which you can read about.
Act 1.
Act 1 it's called, but please go
Yes.
ahead. That's a great show. And they're going to do it in Broadway coming up.
I know they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait
So
to
you
see
directed You Can't Take It With You,
So
which is
Can't
a
Take It With You,
big
yeah.
cast.
Huge cast. And at Antaeus, as you know, we have partner casting, which means we cast 2 actors for every part. For the part of Grandpa, I had 3 actors.
Wow.
And this permits the professional actors to continue to accept television and film work and commercial work, and they have somebody else who can take over for them, and they split the performances. So 2 separate casts, and sometimes some evenings where you have a mix-up of the actors.
Yeah.
So it keeps you on your toes, and mostly it just it allows the actors in this 99-seat plan contract to continue to pursue really remunerative work.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was exciting and wonderfully thrilling, and I think a very successful
And you have to
production.
balance 2 casts as a director, too.
Well, you really don't think of it as 2 casts.
No?
No, because you do mix them up for a couple nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, some days they'll have their own cast, so it's 2 casts, that's true.
Yeah.
But 2 nights a week, you mix them up.
Yeah. It's interesting as an audience member, too, because you can go there and you can see a completely different show because you're seeing a completely different cast.
But it's not
or
that
pairings.
different.
Well, it's
There's
the
some
same
consistency.
show, but there's a consistency to it. But
Different.
the chemistry with actors is so different, and it's
Very true.
it's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Sierra Madre.
And then Sierra Madre Playhouse, I directed An Ideal Husband by Oscar Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
I did pull in some NTS actors. It's a little further east. I think people have an impression that Sierra Madre is further than it is. It's only 10 minutes east of Pasadena, as you know.
Right.
And that was a great experience as well. Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
And got some good actors. And, as a director, I just think it's important to have a plan. A lot of directors I work with want to discover the blocking with you, which I love. If you have 8 weeks.
Yeah.
If you have 6 weeks, it's tough. If you have 4 weeks or less, I would love to discover the blocking with the director as an actor, but it's really screwing up your process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I come in any case, I'm a new director, but I come in with a blocking plan. I do allow the actors, if I encourage the actors to have a run at, once we're up from the table, once we stop the table work, and we're on our feet, and we're blocking, and I'm about to block them, I encourage them to have a go at it, see if some instincts come up, or if they have a strong feeling, I want to do this, I want to do that. But usually they're happy to take my predetermined blocking and use that.
It's interesting because I had that experience as a playwright when I was younger, and first having shows done is because the actors would come to you, usually individually on the side without the director there, and say, I really think that my character wouldn't say that, or she needs a little bit more in this scene or that scene. And I, as a young playwright, was, well, oh sure, the actress wants a thing, I'll do. And then I realized that you have to be pretty firm about what you want to do and what you can work with actors, and they sometimes have wonderful ideas about script too, and even story, but you also have to really keep your own vision in mind as a director, as a playwright.
As a director and a playwright, yes. As a director, you consider it's a holistic view.
Exactly.
As an actor, you think you're looking holistically, you can't.
No.
Even as a director-actor, when I'm acting, I cannot have a holistic view. No. That's not my job. My job is to have this character's view and to be myopic in that way.
That's
what
right.
are my needs here? I'm the star of the play. Even when I'm not the star of the play, I'm the star of the play.
Exactly.
To me as I work on the character.
Yeah. No, it's right, and I mean, actors have wonderful ideas, but and you really want to be open to them. But you have to keep your vision. I mean, it's really.
But you have to keep your vision. I think it's always good to have an open mind.
Yeah.
And then you have to determine if they're.
I remember we were in trouble with the act break with the first act curtain on one of my plays, and I rewrote it 16 times and I couldn't get it right, and the assistant director came up to me and said, "What if we did this?" And he was completely right. And if I hadn't been open, if I said, "I don't want to get an idea from the," that's the collaborative aspect of theater.
It's so collaborative. That is the key.
Yeah.
The key to theater. When I did An Ideal Husband at Sierra Madre Playhouse, I had an awesome assistant director, Rachel Bernie Needleman, and an awesome stage manager, Kim Weber, and we were like the three-legged stool. Without one leg of the stool, the whole thing would have collapsed.
That's right.
But together, we were able to make this thing happen. We had a lot of obstacles, and but again, it's the collaborative.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a director who comes in and says it must be X, Y, and Z, that's not going to work either. I mean, you have to keep your vision, but at the same time, be collaborative. So I know one thing that people are always interested in, and I'm sure they ask you all the time about the business, and about agents, and about managers, and about casting directors. And I mean, just in a general sense, how do you approach that? I know that that's a process that actors have to go through. Any advice or thoughts that you have about that?
Well, I'm not sure what you're asking me exactly, but yes, actors need to have agents if they're going to work in television and film and commercials and voiceover and everything.
Well, people are always asking, how do you get an agent, or
Right.
what if you're not happy with your manager, and what have you learned in dealing with those people in the business?
Career Goals group that I started at Entius, and so we come together, we actors, and we share information. Whether it's just practical, technical information, technological information, or whether it's about, this casting director likes this, don't do that with that casting director,
right.
Or it's my agent sucks, you don't want to be with my agency, or my agent would love you, let me introduce you to my agent. I have found that the most practical and smart way for an actor to go about finding an agent is to ask his or her friends, if they would be willing, actor friends, if they would be willing to introduce them to their agent. Because a personal introduction is 100 times more likely to render an actual meeting.
It's a little like dating.
Yeah, yeah. And often you're like, what? You thought I'd be right with that person?
Yeah.
But a beginning actor who has no agent, I feel almost any agent is better than no agent.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple of agents that you shouldn't mess with, but so I think actors, if they should just screw up their courage. They don't want to do this. Because especially when you're young, you feel like you're in competition with everybody. Right. And as I mentioned before, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in competition. I think that if the role is for me, I'm going to get the role. If the role is for you, you're going to get the role. If we present ourselves. So I think one mustn't be shy about just sending out a quick email to one's friends and saying, hey, would you be comfortable introducing me, or would you be comfortable sending my materials along to your agent?
Yeah.
Here's my picture and resume. Like that.
Yeah, and I also think one of the other things I found as a writer and with my colleagues is that they think, if I get an agent, it's all going to be great. And the fact is that once you get an agent, that's just the first step. You really have to, first of all, you have to sell yourself all the time. And you also have to sell yourself to the agent and realize that the agent needs you as a product, and how do you deliver that product for them? I mean, how do you tell them what it is you're doing, or what you're working on, or what you'd like to be doing? Communication, and I think it's a big fallacy that once you've got an agent, you're right.
That's only the beginning.
Exactly.
But when you don't have an agent, it seems like the end. And it's understandable. But once you have an agent, now things begin. And what's great is that any skill that you have might be used. You literally fill out lots of forms on various websites telling that you play tennis, you ride horseback, you can juggle ping pong balls, whatever you can do, any skill you have, languages, accents. Anything. Right. You can do funny things with your tongue. It doesn't matter what it is. Right. This skill might be something that somebody would want to employ at some point. Right. Where was I going?
Well, I was going to ask you. I mean, I know you probably have a commercial agent, and you maybe have a theatrical agent. I don't know if you have an agent for your theater work, but
I do.
You
yes,
do?
I do.
Is that useful? I mean, because it seems like
So
you get work all the time anyway.
Yes, but to take me to the next level.
Yeah. Advice.
I'm not going to get myself a Broadway audition.
Right.
And my equity agent could very well get me a Broadway audition.
Nice.
I'm with, so I don't know if I should mention.
Oh yeah, you can pitch them.
Oh, KMR.
Yeah.
Because they're in Measures, Ruskin and Associates is my Actors Equity Association agent.
Right.
So just for theater, and then I'm with Origin Talent for television, film, and commercials.
Okay.
They also have a voiceover department. I'm not with them for voiceover yet, but yeah.
Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yes, I've done audiobooks
Have
in
you?
the past, and I'd love to do more, but
Yeah.
there's only so much you can concentrate on because you are marketing yourself as an actor. You do have to do what you were saying.
Yeah.
Once you get an agent, that's the beginning, and then there are so many things you can do, especially as young actors.
Right.
Even before you have an agent, there's so much you can do now
Yeah.
because you can film yourself cheaply.
Yeah.
You can write your own scenes, film yourself, get a couple of friends, somebody behind the camera, shoot something in your backyard.
That's right.
You can get it up on the web.
Yeah,
and
do
you
a
can
YouTube
advertise
video
yourself.
that's
Yes,
funny.
You can advertise yourself.
I know.
So there are ways to be seen that didn't exist before. So
Right.
it's much, I'm not going to say easier, but it's
It is.
it's a better time for young actors who don't have somebody representing them.
Yeah, true of playwrights, true of screenwriters. With the technology now, there's so much more we can do. So the other thing, though, is you always have to be communicating with your agents, and you have two sets of agents that you're always having to talk to and keep updated and keep them enthusiastic. I know there's a lot on you as an actor to do that. Did you find that's true? Or
Not really. I
good.
mean,
You got a better agent than
I
I
have
do.
good agents. They do communicate with me. When I'm doing a play, then I have to book out of my TV, theatrical, and commercial agency, and they're like, "Oh, Gigi."
Yeah.
I had a great AT&T commercial that was on for months and months and months this year, and so
On
I.
the Super Bowl even, I think, or it's been on a lot. I've seen it a lot.
And
It's
then
great.
I booked several shows, and I got taken out of the game. But they understand and accept and respect my need to do theater.
Yeah.
And my theater agents are just awesome. I mean, I can communicate with them, and I don't feel like I'm ever not respected or not listened to.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, let me shift a little bit because I want to talk about being a woman in the arts.
Being a woman.
Being a woman in the arts and in theater and as an actress. It ain't easy, I know. I mean, I don't know, but I see that. But on the other hand, and I want to get your thoughts, but my observation is that people who stick with it, men and women, in their passion in the arts, there are a lot of rewards down the line, and the herd thins out a little bit too. So you don't have as much talk about competition, but there doesn't seem to be as you get older. There doesn't seem to be as much, and also I think you're less typecast than when you're a young person. But anyway, those are just my.
I don't know. I don't. Somehow I'm not as tortured by being a woman, and now, well into my middle age, woman. These were things that brought terror to my heart when I thought of them as a young person.
Yeah.
And I don't now. Now I accept that most scripts are still written by and for a whole bunch of white men.
Yeah.
I'm just not tortured by it anymore because there are some roles written for people like me, and I have some opportunities to read for some of those roles.
You do.
So I feel very fortunate that way. I don't feel quite so much outside the candy store.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing that the roles for women, middle-aged women in theater are getting edgier. Like Hermetically Sealed was a very edgy, I think, was it Next to Normal, the musical? And there's another shows where the female parts have a lot more grit to them, I guess, would be say. But particularly I'm seeing it in theater. I'm seeing it a lot in theater now.
Yeah.
And well, Hermetically Sealed, I mean, it's really hard to give a précis of that show. But I would
Catherine
say,
Graff, we should say.
yeah, I would say that
playwright.
it was a very demanding role because you had a whole imaginary life, kind of a hallucinatory life that was going on as a mother. talk about that role a
Well,
little
let's not
bit.
give the whole play away, but
Yeah.
it was a great opportunity to play that part. I loved her, that role, Tessie.
Yeah.
And I had an incredible young actor,
You did.
Nicholas Padani, playing my son, who has just gone off to Juilliard, I'm happy to say.
He's going to have a great future. He's a great actor.
You know, he was 15 when we started.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, everybody was like, who is that kid?
Yeah.
So lucky to have a 15-year-old person
Yep.
who could play my son, and we could have real exchanges,
Oh, yeah.
you know, emotional exchanges. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So that was a great opportunity, a great challenge. It was, you know, painful because this woman was in pain.
Yeah.
The character was in pain, but beautiful. So what was your question?
Well, it's a very internal role, isn't it, too, I thought. I mean, there was a lot going on inside, and it's, yeah, I was just talking about what a great role that was.
Yeah,
you
it
know.
was definitely one of those roles that you just
Not
they
a
don't
lot
come-
of those around.
They don't come along every day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also well directed, and I forget the name of the director.
Joel
Forgive me,
Polis.
Joel Polis, who's also a great, terrific actor.
Amazing actor.
Yeah. Just to, you know, as we end up here, I want to talk a little bit about LA theater, because it's always been kind of the bastard child in a lot of ways to New York or Chicago, and in my experience as a critic over a number of years and as a playwright, I really see a lot of the extraordinary talent that's in town, who are really wonderful theater actors, also doing film and television. We don't have the audience that we need. We just don't get the folks out there, but there are all these exciting theater companies, and it's always in a process of upheaval. So talk a little bit about just the pleasures and the pains of working in local theater in LA.
Oh gosh, so much to be said.
Yeah.
But let me just say this about having these amazing actors on stage here. I have to say most of, not all, but most of the amazing actors on stage do also work in television and film. And they couldn't afford to do any theater if it weren't for the, I could be off, but this is my understanding. If it weren't for the contracts that we currently offer, there's a 99-seat plan contract which doesn't pay the actors except for like parking or gas money or something.
But it permits the theaters to exist.
It permits the theaters to exist, and it allows the actor to accept more remunerative work, whether it be television or film or commercial or a paying theater gig. So it allows them to do beautiful art, but they have an out if real work comes, if paying work comes along.
Right.
And I can tell you that you will not see those amazing actors on stage in LA if we don't have that opportunity. You know, if, some of the theaters pay $200 a week or $300 a week or for $500 a week. Those actors who are used to making a lot of money in television and film won't be doing any theater if that's the only contract that they're allowed to, you know, to work under.
There's a current dispute, as we know, going on here about what to do about that. It's, you know, I think that the LA is quite unique because, in a sense, the theater world doesn't have the hot spotlight that you have in New York in theater, but they're really, I mean, a lot of my friends from New York have moved to LA to work, and they continue to work in theater. So in a way, theater is this one, LA theater is this wonderful garden where kind of everything grows in a way that's not permitted in other cities. And, you know, we want to do all that we can to preserve that.
Absolutely.
And you're such an important part of that,
thank you.
Gigi.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure to have you, and I really enjoyed our conversation
It's been
today.
my privilege.
Thank you again.
Thank you.